the guys would write their own verses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you look at the publishing, you'll see that
the names.
Ice Cube can say whatever he wants. He didn't write any of his songs by himself.
Right.
The only guy that wrote every song by himself was Dr. Dre. He wrote the music.
That says a lot about him.
The guys wrote the lyrics. Okay? So Eazy would go over and they would read their lyrics to him, and he would say, "That's really corny." which was the biggest insult. That was the biggest insult.
Corny.
Yeah, that was
So,
yeah.
Corny.
And then they would change it. So he had the ability to make you better than you would have been yourself.
Wow.
And I always said, look, for me, when we first started the company, he said, "Now how are you going to do this?" I said, "Well, first we'll put out a record, then we'll have a production deal, then we'll have our own label." He said, No. That's not the way we do it. Nobody ever puts their name on my record. So he drove me to do something that had never been done before. I wouldn't have done it that way, but he drove me to do it. I had the ability and the connections to do it, but he drove me to do that. So he always made 2 + 2 = 5.
Wow.
And that's the sign of greatness in this
Definitely.
world.
Definitely.
To make 2 + 2 = 5.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he was just an incredible kid.
And how do you think that he would feel with this straight out of Compton and the emotion and the anticipation coming out? Do you think he'd be excited about this movie?
Well, this movie would have been done a long time ago.
Right.
Differently.
And it would have been done differently. I mean, you have to remember how important this guy was.
Yes, he was.
He and I were at a Bill Graham cocktail party in New York at the Park Lane Hotel. We're coming down the elevator with Diana Ross and Shaka Khan and 3 big black guys. Okay, now we're in New York. It's not my home territory, you know? So these guys were big, and we're on the elevator, and Eazy is this. And, you know, he was
5'2".
He was fearless. He would roll by himself. He didn't care.
And in pictures of you and him, you look so tall and he
was-
looked so small.
He was fearless.
He was fearless. He had a big
Fearless.
heart.
So these guys, this is before the record came out. These guys are rapping Boys in the Hood. These 3 big black guys. Okay, no radio. We're selling records out of the trunks of our cars at the Swabby to Steve Yano. And these guys are Boys in the Hood are always hard.
And y'all are in New York, right?
In New
You're in
York.
New York.
Right.
In an
Wow.
elevator.
Yeah.
And I looked at them, and these guys were giggling.
And was he smiling?
Who, Eazy?
Yeah, it was Easy smiling.
Eazy was hard. So we got out of the elevator, and I said, "Do you understand what's going on here, man? Record's not out, no radio. Here we got 3 guys in an elevator that know all the lyrics." He said, "Oh, you mean Run DMC?"
Oh, it's Run DMC.
They were seeing.
Oh
wow.
my God.
Oh, that's great. That is great. I hope that they hear this story one day.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
That is great.
That was amazing.
Just great.
Well, I think that probably, outside the fact that he was like my flesh and blood, he certainly would have become the most important person in the history of show business. He was such a visionary.
Yes, he
He
was.
was so far ahead of his time. I mean, he was writing screenplays in 1980. You know, so I mean, he was so important, and it's devastating that he should have passed away at such a young age.
Yes.
And the business would have been different, and the things that he did were just mind-boggling to
Right.
me.
Definitely.
So there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about them. And like I say, of all the things that I've done, I brought Elton John to this country. I brought Pink Floyd here. All the people that I've represented, Marvin Gaye and Journey and Styx and REO Speedwagon, Joan Armatrading, all these people. Nothing comes close to the period of time from February 2nd or 3rd of 1987 to March 26th of 1995.
Wow.
The period of time I spent with Eric Reid.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's definitely left a huge legacy on so many people.
And I think that my book has helped establish his legacy. I think it's cleaned up my image a little,
Definitely.
which was unwarranted. And I think that there are other projects coming out that are going to be important projects that are going to tell the truth.
Yes.
Look at what this says.
Wow.
N.W.A. and the album that
Changed the world.
Now
Straight out of Compton.
look at the albums you have on here. The Doors, Dylan, Jimi Hendrix, the Sex Pistols,
Public Enemy.
Elvis Presley, N.W.A.
Yeah.
The album,
In color.
the album that
The
changed,
Clash.
In color.
changed the
There's the Clash.
Aretha.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Who's this one here?
Public Enemy. Parliament. Wow.
There's a group
Is
called
that Bob Marley?
Called-
That's Bob
That's
Marley.
Marley.
That's Bob Marley.
It is too.
Kraftwerk.
Wow.
That's a group I brought here in 1973
Wow.
that started electronic music.
Wow. The Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
There you go, because they definitely... And are the Beatles on here?
Well, sure.
Where have we got the Beatles?
Right there. Right there.
There you go. The Beatles had to be there.
Sgt. Pepper,
Sgt. Pepper,
Yeah.
Nirvana.
Dylan.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Marvin
love
Gaye.
Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
So
Wow.
amazing.
Sex Pistols. Johnny Rotten.
Yeah.
And wow. Wow.
They
And
called them, the LA Times called them, the most important album of the 20th century.
Yes.
wow. That is, and it's got the biggest place there too.
Well, it's right in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's bigger than all the other ones.